We started this week around the issues that are currently happening, and one would name them more than issues. And what is the conflict currently between Israel and Iran? And we continue that conversation this morning. And joining us in the studio is the ambassador of the Islamic Republic of Iran to Nairobi, Dr. Ali Golompur, and he's here with us this morning. Good morning.
Thank you so much, and thank you for inviting.
Welcome to the hot seat, Balozi. And we're looking from Tehran to Tel Aviv. Is the Middle East on the brink? And this is the question that is being asked. But before we get into that, we go around the African continent every week, right, Balozi? And we stop in one country and we take the proverbs that what Kenyans call the wahenga, the ancestors have left for the people to live by. And we take one of those proverbs every day, and we would like to tell you what that proverb is today, and we would like to hear what you think about that proverb and how you would interpret that. Is that all right? So Dennis is going to share the proverb, and then please. You can tell us what you think. Yes.
So the proverb today comes from Rwanda, a neighboring country. It is a country that has a lot to be put up, including it is one of the cleanest countries not only in Africa but in the world. They have a rich history coming from the genocide that happened in the country and how they've turned that around to a country that is speaking in one voice. Despite challenges here and there, it is a country that is considered to be looked up to by many African countries. And the proverb today: a night is counted by one who stayed awake. A night is counted by one who stayed awake. What do you make of that?
Oh, in the name of God, the most compassionate, the most merciful. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. First of all, I would like to say a very good morning to all your distinguished, lovely viewers, the great people of Kenya, and especially those who are watching us and following your discussions, especially around the Zionist regime aggression to Iran, to my country. About your question on the proverb, I was not supposed to take it. Okay. But it's to me, as I perceive, is that the ones who is awake throughout the night is counting the time. It's just a reflecting of the hardship time that a person or a people or a community or a nation is living under the severe situation. And this is something that nowadays the Iranian people are feeling, because they are on the aggression by a regime, a legitimate regime, an occupier. And this is there because it shows that how a people can be victimized by a foreign aggression. This is something that I can, at this time, respond to.
So sure.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Thanks for that interpretation and how it makes sense. Let's look at a few of the details. Since Monday, when we started having this conversation, until today, things have changed, of course, significantly. Explosions continue to rock Tel Aviv and Tehran as the conflict between Israel and Iran rages on to its sixth straight day. There's not been a break in any of this. And significantly, over the last couple of days, US President Donald Trump demanded that Iran gives unconditional surrender. So no questions of we will surrender if, according to the US president, is demanding that Iran then surrenders unconditionally. And they have said they have now complete and total control over the skies over Iran. And the US also deploys more fighter jets to the Middle East, according to reports. Some of the things that we're also seeing is that an Iranian official says all border crossings remain open. All land border crossings in Iran have remained open, according to an Iranian official, as the foreign nationals living there seek the nearest departure point amid escalating hostilities with Israel. This is an overview of what is currently going on. The strikes continue in both directions, but we would like to get from your point of view, first of all, the genesis of this problem, Dr. Golompur, the genesis from an Iranian perspective. Where did this start?
For understanding this situation, you should get back into the history, Iran has never, at least over the 300 centuries ago up until now, has attacked any country. We have always been attacked And of course, we decisively always defended ourselves. This is the first thing. The second thing is that if you go back to the history of the Zionist regime of Israel, it has shaped based on occupation illegitimately by force. And up until now, the policy of the Zionist regime has to be wipe out the Palestinian peoples to have superiority and hegemony on the Islamic world in the region and beyond. And it's based on their ideological thoughts that from Nile to Euphrates is theirs. And after the Islamic Republic Revolution victory in Iran, one of the inspirations by the Islamic Revolution was that peoples around outside Iran was inspired by self-determination to defend themselves, to fight for their liberation. And it was not something that they took it, because their policy has always been to kill and rule. So this is the cause. And now you see that despite all the facts, and the facts shows that Iran has never attacked any country. We don't have a policy of aggression, but we have been attacked, and an act of aggression has been committed by the Zionist regime of Israel. Of course, all the supports are provided by the United States to the Zionist regime. And, this is the real cause. And they always have had their policy to accuse and provoke and unlawfully take actions. Instead of addressing its own destabilizing behavior, the Zionist regime reports to baseless accusations and military adventurism to justify its attacks. Iran reserves always the right to defend its sovereignty and security.
Ambassador, you've said Iran, going back to history, has never directly attacked another country. The sentiments that are coming then from Israel, and I want your response on this, is the argument coming from Israel is Iran has not officially launched any full conventional military invasion of another sovereign nation. It's true, directly, in a conventional sense, but it does that through proxies. And that's the biggest concern. The biggest concern. Is this true?
No, it's not true, absolutely. It's a false narration. Israel is a proxy to the United States. And Iran has no proxy. All those movements and resistance that you are referring are liberation resistance. They are defending their self-determination. They don't want to be killed on a daily basis. They have the right to live in peace and prosperity. So we don't have any proximity. They are defending themselves. Of course, Iran has the right to have its own relations, foreign relations, with whatsoever nation and country that wishes. And this is the right of any country. But the one who is now the existential threat is the Israeli regime, is an existential threat not only to the Palestinians, the Lebanese, but also to Iran and beyond. So the narration is completely vice versa. It's very false assumption that they have.
So where do you stand with regard to Israel saying that as much as Iran has not launched any war or attacked any country, it is supporting Hezbollah and Hamas, which in turn have attacked Israel. So Israel says we are retaliating against Iran because of Iran's support of Hezbollah and Hamas. Is that true?
Absolutely not. They have their own right to defend themselves. Please let me to put it in this way. Israel is the main and the prime source of instability and threat, not only to the people of Palestine and the region and our country, but to the international peace and security. Why? Because Iran is a member to all international treaties on, mass destruction weapons. You know, Iran is a member to the NPT, a responsible member to NPT, and all other CWC, the Chemical Weapons Convention. But Israel is not the member. Israel has, the Zionist regime of Israel has the biggest stockpile of nuclear warheads in the region, and is a threat to everybody, to the whole world. And Iran peaceful nuclear activities has been since inception under the largest ever in the history of the inspections by the UAE, and has been constantly monitored by the inspectors by the IAEA. And through the all 15 reports by the IAEA has been no non-compliance by Iran to be reported by the IAEA. And even last night, the Garisi, Director General of the IAEA, has declared that there is no evidence of military activities in Iranian nuclear activities. Look, Israel has, the Zionist regime of Israel has always claimed that since almost 25 years ago, that Iran is reaching to the nuclear weapon within 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, and still it's coming 1 year, 2 year, 3 year. So all this is provocation.
So what triggered the latest strikes against Iran? You've referenced the history, but the latest escalation and the devastation now we're seeing on both sides, what triggered it?
It is because the Zionist regime always has followed as expansionist policy. Still now, right now, they are killing on a daily basis innocent peoples, children's, kids, women's, who are standing in the line queue for get the humanitarian food that is coming from outside. They are bombing them. The triggering at this time is just to diverting the attentions of the world public opinions and the attentions and the hearts from the atrocities, the massacres, the genocide that is happening in Gaza, in Palestine. They need, because they live by war. Without war they cannot live, they cannot continue. And this is the situation, because they feel that they are under the heavy support by the United States, and they feel that, okay, they have the capability, the strength to attack everybody, and nobody can take them accountable. But this time they had their own wrong and mistakes in their calculations, because Iran is a big country, a strong country with all military system, and is not like a group inside that is fighting for its determination.
So, Ambassador, Israel says, because there are all these counter accusations from both countries, just to maybe make us understand and see the picture of what's going on in Iran, Israel says that they're targeting nuclear facilities and military infrastructure. On this other side, Israel says Iran is targeting civilians.
So let me to put it in this way.
Yes.
Okay, please, we live in a world that we have laws, international laws. We have the Charter of the United Nations. We have the IAEA statute.
Yes.
We have the resolutions of the IAEA. All these laws that Iran as a member, as a responsible member, has been observed and followed strictly all these norms and rules of international law. What it says that a military activity which is peaceful, as is under the safeguards of the IAEA, shall not be attacked. The IAEA statute is preventing member states to attack those facilities that are under the inspections and safeguards. And all the Iranian activities are declared. There is no evidence that these are the reports by the IAEA.
Yes.
There is no evidence of diversion from peaceful activities in Iranian nuclear activities.
Okay.
And then when you attack it means that you breach blatantly the international laws and rules. You are not a responsible country in international system. So everybody, based on international, it is an attack not only against Iran, it is an attack against the Charter of the United Nations, against the international order, against the international law.
Allow me to ask the question this way, Balozi, because if we look at reports that come from, different associations across board, is that there have been years of simmering conflicts. And just going to kind of reinforce the question that Dennis is asking, is that what triggered what we saw happening Friday when there was the attack on Iran, right? And from what we understand, according to what Israel said, it said what it launched was Operation Rising Lion, right? And they said it was response to an intelligence report which they claimed showed that Iran was approaching the point of no return in the development of a nuclear weapon.
Absolutely it's wrong. Just allow me. This question is.
Let me finish this.
Absolutely, it's wrong.
Let me finish this statement so that you can either confirm it or you can deny it.
No, absolutely.
They are calling on a series of strikes on Iran nuclear facilities.
Madam, let me know. Allow me to put it in this way. Please let me to explain. I know your question exactly. No, allow me, please, because the question is absolutely wrong.
No, you don't know the question. Allow me to ask the question. It is important that I ask it so that you can then give your response based on the question. This is it. If they are saying that Operation Rising Lion was because they felt that Iran was reaching a point of no return, this is what is coming from them. My question is, has it always been a competition between both countries, and who then can develop nuclear weapons and then who can use them?
Madam, let me know. Iran is a country which has been attacked by an atomic warhead country. Israel has almost more than 200 atomic bombs and warheads, and he has attacked in Iran. And they now resort to the principle or the theory of preemptive attack. What does it mean, preemptive? If it's any country would have such a justification to attack other countries and to say that I'm just preventing from what?
That's my question. Now, if you had allowed me to finish
it is very ridiculous. It is very ridiculous.
Exactly.
There was no sign. Always Iran has been under attack by sabotage, by espionage, by attacking and killing the peoples and bombarding. What does it mean? It's absolutely violating the international laws and rules, norms. The preemptive theory is just for pro-cons in the United States to attack every country that they wish based on their foreign policy. And it's absolutely illegal.
Right.
If you ask the international lawyers, international law experts, nobody can
on a preemptive basis.
It's absolutely, but based on the Article 51 of the Charter, Iran is a responsible member of the United Nations and the Charter of the United Nations. Article 51 says that if any country is attacked, its sovereignty is attacked,
absolutely,
or breached, has the right. And now Iran is applying its self-defense.
Right.
We cannot just to sit down and to be bombarded and the peoples to be killed on the in the hospitals, in the TV. Just they attack the radio and TV station like us that now we
live.
Are here.
Yes, we saw that.
Imagine that a country come and bombard you. What does it mean? It's a kind of preemptive from what? The reporters?
So for purposes of clarity, it is important for us to say that the first attack actually did come to Iran from Israel. Israel actually did attack first, and the first one that we saw came out on Friday. So anything from what you're saying, anything retaliatory, or rather anything that came later, was retaliatory to what happened on Friday?
Madam, according to international law, any country who has been invaded and attacked has the right to respond.
This is my question.
The response is proportionate. We have, we don't have the policy of attacking or invading. Always it's but we decisively defend ourselves, and the defense is proportionate in accordance with international laws and rules. That's all, and that's the right.
Balozi.
We defend our territory, we defend our people, we defend our dignity, and of course, we are pro peace in the region.
Balozi, you speak about being pro-peace. There is the fight that is happening between the two countries. Then there is the entrant, that is the United States, through Donald Trump, the president there, and the statement that he made recently. What do you make of the statement that comes from the United States with regard to the confrontation between Israel and Iran?
Yeah, as I told you, the Zionist regime of Israel is a proxy to the United States. And this is the policies of the United States, to bring to the knee, to bow to them, and as they say, to unconditional surrender. What does it mean, unconditional surrender?
What does it mean?
They don't know Iranian people. They don't know the history of Iran, the culture of Iran, the oldest country on the earth. We are old civilization, very rich culture. And it's absolutely ridiculous and meaningless. They have very clearly announced that they are supporting and they will come in, step in. But what we suggest to them is that for the sake of stability, for the sake of peace, for the sake of international law, for the sake of humanity, you should step out and not step in. You should condemn. Condemn the aggressor. But you support and you justify. It's absolutely wrong. And this is the situation. You attack on a daily basis on the TV station, schools, sports fields, hospitals, homes, residential areas, and then you justify that it is a preemptive. How you can believe it?
So, Ambassador.
And even if you attack the nuclear facilities, it's absolutely unlawful, illegal. According to the international law, according to the statute of the IAEA, it's absolutely prevented. It should not be happen. But you are under attack by a regime who has the biggest stockpiles in the region of the mass killing weapons, mass destruction, and nuclear warheads, is not a member to IAEA, is not a member to the NPT regime, non-proliferation treaty regime, and has a long history of massacre. And the prime minister of that regime is now called by the ICC, International Criminal Court, for genocide. How you are going to defend it?
So, Ambassador, the very latest, Israel says it struck a centrifuge in Tehran and a weapons facilities as part of its overnight attacks. Now, Iran has also launched its own attacks inside Israel. There are sirens that have been sounding through the night. The scale may not be at the same level, but are we then saying we are already on a warpath? Is this full scale now?
My brother Dennis,
Yes.
If I attack you, you will stay and look at me? Of course we will respond. But of course we respond within the frames of international law, proportionately. When they attack, we respond. But don't forget one thing. They have started. They have attacked. But the one who will end it is not themselves. It's not themselves.
Who will end it?
Because they shoot the truth. When, they came into a war and attacked Iran to destroy what? To destroy the negotiations, the diplomacy that was ongoing between Iran and the US. 6 rounds of negotiations was held. And just 2 days before the 7th round, they attacked Iran to what purpose? To prevent that diplomacy to go to works.
But
Because your policy is based on killing people. Because when you have the fighters, you feel that you have the strength. The might is right. This is their basic assumption. But this is wrong.
what negotiations are you having with the US?
With the US, it was 6 rounds was held. The 7th round was scheduled in the Sultanate of Oman.
And what was the conclusion?
That I don't know what was the conclusion, but what is on ongoing negotiations.
On what exactly?
On the matter of the nuclear activities and what they claim the nuclear activities on Iran, but of course the peaceful activities on Iran.
So what?
But they came in, even in, Iran had in 2015 and 14 and beyond, we have the JCPOA. It was an agreement between the 6 countries, 5+1 and Iran at that time. And we showed that we are pro-diplomacy, pro-negotiation and dialogue. And we resolved it very peacefully. But who broke that agreement? Trump exited from the JCPOA. And who didn't implement the expectations and implement that accord? It was the European countries who they didn't abide to their promises, to their commitments. And then after, again, we started negotiations with the of course, indirect, with the US. But because if we got to an conclusion, an agreement, it was stopping the Zionist regime of his policy of aggression and expansion. That's why the reason they attacked to destroy that track.
And we're looking at some of these issues, Balozi, and we're saying to the point whereby, I mean, you've laid the foundation in terms of, where this is all seen from. Israel, I have said in no uncertain terms, whether it's coming from the Prime Minister Netanyahu, whether it's coming from, the officials, they've said they're ready to go this alone. They don't need the support of anybody. They said if they need to be isolationist in conflict or whatever, that they're ready to go it alone. So they don't have or necessarily need the support of anyone else. It's contraindicatory to what we see coming from President Trump, who says, if Iran doesn't stop, we're asking for unconditional surrender. But then one must ask, surrender to what?
Oh, that's Trump should explain. Surrender to what? But we will not surrender to anything. Iran is a powerful, strong country. It has been under long, discriminate, illegal, illegitimate, inhuman, unilateral coercive measures and sanctions. And it has the national and local capacities, scientific capacities, military defense capabilities and capacities. And we have a very big nation, the oldest country in the world, and very big and rich civilization and culture. Okay, culture of dialogue and negotiations. What we should surrender our history, our dignity, our territorial integrity, our sovereignty. What they expect from us, scientific achievements is not something that you can give up. It's scientific, your scientists have it. You cannot take it out from them. Of course, you have some fighter jets, you can bomb facilities, but it's not the end of the story. We will not surrender, for sure. We will defend ourselves in the strongest terms, but of course in accordance with international rules and laws and proportionately. But again, we are ready to get back to the diplomacy route. That's the best and the only path, as all the leaders around the world has emphasized. If you weak the credibility of the non-proliferation treaty by attacking a country who is under the safeguards of the same regime, you will weak it. You just refer to the Al-Baradei, the ex-Director General of the IAEA, who said that this attack, which is in blatant violation of international laws and Charter of Nations, is weakening the non-proliferation treaty. And then no country will have the confidence and the assurances to stay under that regime. If you are talking about international peace and security, but if you are looking for regional hegemony on other countries because you have the power, it's absolutely a wrong assumption, and we will stand against it.
Balozi, in this war, there is the aspect of the cost of it in terms of the people and the deaths and the injuries that you continue to record. Just as we sit here today, you have family back in Iran, and as you connect and talk to them on a daily basis, even back with the government, what is the cost of this war to the human life back in Iran?
Unfortunately, the massive attacks on Iranian cities has been included not only the military bases, but in particular, they have attacked libraries. They have attacked the library of the foreign ministry that I'm a part of that. I used to study and educated in that library. They have attacked the kids and children's hospitals, Hakim Hospital. They have attacked the TV, radio and TV station. They are bombing all the civilians and homes and residential areas. And unfortunately, the casualty numbers is high, up until now, more than hundreds of civilians has been casualty or martyred. So, Iranian nation is like a victim, is now a victim. In the past, we have a victim to chemical weapons supported by the European countries and US and others to the Saddam regime to attack and use chemical weapons against my people. At that time, I was also exposed to that chemicals myself. And then we have the terrors, supporting and equipped by forces like Zionist regime. They have been recruited, they have been trained, they have been equipped, and they have paid money to come to Iran and kill scientists and to do terrorist attacks. So the casualties are very high, and I'm very sorry for that. An unfortunate situation, and that brings the international community, all the leaders, the political leaders, including the leaders in Kenya, in the Republic of Kenya, as an independent country, and as a responsible member of the international community, to condemn these attacks, which is breaching and violating international law. If we want to peace in order based on the Charter of the United Nations, and this is the responsibility of each and every awake consciousness, awake people around the world. So here I would like to appeal to all those leaders around the world, organizations, peoples, to condemn such illegal and inhuman attacks.
So, Ambassador, the very latest is Iran's supreme leader has warned that the battle has begun. Donald Trump is talking about unconditional surrender. Are we then saying we are on a full-scale war, or is there room for mediation?
Yeah, that's a very good question. The Zionist regime of Israel has demonstrated that they are always escalating tensions, escalating wars. They are not going on the path of de-escalating. As I told you, we will defend proportionately. And what has been put by our supreme leader is the same for self-defense, based on the Article 51 of the Charter of the United Nations. And of course, it's the right for the self-defense. This is a war that has been imposed on us, and we have no other choice except to defend. That's something that
I mean, the accusations here, we can't have this conversation without talking about nuclear threats. Israel's view is Iran's nuclear program is a threat. It is the same sentiment that the US carry and its allies. We look at proxy networks, and the concern there here is, and I want you to maybe shed light on this. The issue here is Iran funds arms through these proxy networks. In Lebanon, it's Hezbollah. in Gaza, it's Hamas and the Islamic Jihad. Then you have Syria, the IRGC. In Iraq and Yemen, it's the Shia militias. Can you absolve yourself that you have no dealings with these networks and therefore you are not a threat in carrying out your programs?
Please let me to repeat it, because you repeat the question again. The Zionist regime is a proxy of the United States in the region.
Okay.
And the world of imperialism. And all those movements that you refer are the liberating movements. They're resisting for their self-determination. They are fighting for themselves. They cannot see every day their homes are destroyed, their facilities are destroyed, and their people are, women, men, civilians, innocent people are killed. They have the right. And also, Iran has the right, as a sovereign state, as the Kenya has the right, to have its own relations with any other countries around the world. What is the threat? Existential threat is from the Zionist regime with its nuclear stockpiles, not only against Iran, but also against the whole region and international system and order.
Ambassador, you have not answered my question.
The nuclear weapons now are stockpiled in Israel. In 1974, Iran was proposed a region in the Middle East, West Africa, the west of Asia, a region free from nuclear weapons. And this proposal has been always on the table. Who has opposed it? The Zionist regime of Israel, the only country with their stockpiles. We officially, repeatedly, annually propose that region free from nuclear weapons. Not only nuclear weapons, but also all other weapons of mass destruction. The only regime has denied and opposed is the Zionist regime of Israel with its stockpiles, with chemicals stockpiles, with all the killing machine. And now you are put the question on the other side, vice versa, that Iran is existential threat to whom? More than 300 years, Iran has never threatened or attacked any country.
Yes,
always we defend.
Yes, you've not done that directly. And I'm saying the concern here, even with the US, the same thing repeated by Israel and other countries, is that the relationship between Iran and the support to these groups I've mentioned from all these places, Lebanon, Gaza, Syria, Iraq, and Yemen, is that it will cause destabilization of the region. And therefore, your program and the nuclear question here is what really is a concern.
Who has occupied Lebanon? Israel. Occupied. And the resistance came as Hezbollah and the people of Lebanon to liberate and free from occupation their territory. Please go and study a bit history and the facts. Now, after the collapse of the government in Syria, still Israel is continuing to bombarding what? To destroy everything and to bring to the zero. And all these accusations and provocations against my country, a country that in the history has lived in peace with all countries, neighbors, is absolutely wrong and just gives misunderstanding, misinformation, false assumptions to the outsiders. But we need to go and study and to see the facts. And we have the right to have our relations with each and every country, with each and every movement. Nobody can say that you do it. It is our internal policy, as we cannot say to the Republic of Kenya to do this or do not that.
You did say that the possibility of de-escalation would only happen in a diplomatic manner, and that is what could be accepted. What does this look like, Balozi?
Always we are ready for diplomatic endeavors. And we were in it. We were going, my minister and the negotiators from our side was supposed to go for the negotiations in the Sultanate of Oman. But they attacked. they destroyed that. Again, if they want to stop this aggression, first they should condemn. This attack should be condemned by the United States, by all the countries around the world. Then the attacks and invasion to Iran should be stopped. Then let's see, the negotiations will go on. But we will not surrender. We have the right, we have the sovereignty, we have the right to defend, and we are standing. That's only the reason, is that because they don't know Iran.
If negotiations were to take place today, is Iran ready to sit on the table with Israel to sort out this problem?
And who would call it?
We do not recognize the occupant regime. You know, we always have declared, here and there, in all international forums, that if you're honest, refer to the peoples who live in the palace, in that land, in that territory, from Jewish, from Christians, from Muslims, and have a referendum for their determination. Whatever comes out from that determination is absolutely lawful and acceptable to us as well. But we cannot recognize a regime based on mass killing, massacre, genocide. Look, their leader, the Prime Minister Netanyahu, is under the verdict by the ICC for genocide. Why you close your eyes on that? That's the reality, and we should look at the realities and to stay on the right side of the story. That's why we expect from all the countries, all the leaders, to take all these
into perspective
and to condemn the aggression and to preserve the integrity of international law.
Who would, and I think that's the final question as we get into the end of this hour, who would be the party to call for any kind of diplomatic conversation at this point? You've referred severally to the United Nations and its tenets. You referred to Charter 51. You've talked about, parties who are other treaties, and that countries are parties to these treaties, having ratified them across board. We know what international humanitarian law says. We know what international law says about ratification of treaty. Who would be the party, though, that would call both sides to any kind of diplomatic relational table?
Very good question, madam. I'm happy that you pose it to me. You know, the Security Council of the United Nations has the prime responsibility, based on the Charter of the United Nations, for peace and security. Unfortunately, we are seeing in action by that entity. They don't do anything. They're crippled. They should do their duty and responsibility and task to recognize the aggression situation, and then to call both sides to stop. I mean, the aggressor, to stop the invasion. And then we have another international entity and body which calls IAEA, who is responsible in this. They have the responsibility, and we are a responsible member to that body. Israel is not a member to the NPT. We are a member. We are responsible. We are under the unprecedented historical inspections. These are the bodies, international organizations, leaders around the world, including Kenya, can play a role to call. And for sure, Iran has always been is not a war, wanting country. We always seeking for peaceful resolution, because in international law we have it is in the Charter of the United Nations, preventing from resorting to force. And you should always go for peaceful resolution of the conflict. That's it. The rule is there.
Let's follow the rule.
International bodies is there. But international community should act. Thank you.
There we go. Dr. Ali Gholampour is the ambassador of the Islamic Republic of Iran to Nairobi. We've been having conversation from Tehran to Tel Aviv. Is the Middle East on the brink? Well, he says there's space for diplomatic relations, but somebody's got to call it. And until then, it looks like this is what we are facing. Good to have these conversations, necessary to do. Thank you so much for being here with us this morning, Balozi. Thank you for being in the Situation Room this Wednesday. Conversations continue tomorrow at 6. God willing, have a wonderful rest of the day. Good morning.
This is the